Hey guys, this is GamerCow playing the Pokemon trading card game for the third last time in the main LP stuff, I guess, I don't know. And we are going into the Grandmasters, and well, decks have to be made for it. I looked at the stuff, it seems they've got 4 types left to play with, and one of which is a Water and Psychic deck, if I have my memory correct. If somebody ends up telling me that I have already used that type, well, oh well, who cares? Courtney used it, but I don't think I did, so yeah. What I've done is I built a Desolation deck, which is a reference to one of Raisin's spell cards, actually, as a Desolation discarder, like Scarlet Weather Rhapsody stuff. And the reason for that is I'm using Golduck, and Golduck's Hyper Beam is an energy discarder. There's Dragonair, which Dragonair has Hyper Beam, which is also like discarder. I don't have Poliwrath because it's a Water Psychic. I kind of needed Psychic in there as well. If I was using pure Water, then I would have probably switched out Golduck for Poliwrath and just used that. It actually does become quite a decent deck with that. As it stands, this is going to be a bit slower paced, but oh well. Trainer wise, I'm going very heavily on the energy removal theme. You know, we've got both that and supers, so pretty much because of the way that what's her face, you know, I can't. Courtney, that's who it is. Because of the way she works, she has a lot of high energy attacking stuff for lots of like flamethrowers and discardies and stuff. So basically, I'm going the complete opposite, and I'm gonna energy remove the crap out of her, and it's gonna be fun. I also managed to get myself one single Clefairy, so I have a 1/1 line of Clefable to use. So that might be pretty good for this deck. And yeah, I have a template built here. It's not quite complete because I need cards from this, but that's for the second match. Which is not what we're going to first. We're going to the first match, and the first match is with the one who has won the Master Medals, which we have done. And Rod greets us over here, and Rod is the leader of the Grandmasters, who involve lots of dudes. And well, there's 3 dudes and 1 dudette, I suppose. That's like service speak for everything. Who knows? The Grandmaster Courtney is the first one we'd be playing. Steve is of course the second one. Jack is kind of a bitch actually, but he's the third one. And Rod is the last guy. So yeah, pretty much we are going to have to play everybody, and we're not going to get a chance to leave until we have either played everyone and won, or we lose against someone. So basically that's it. Courtney actually looks pretty cool, I'm not gonna lie, the red-hairedness thing is great. She looks a lot better in the sequel, but that's because the sequel is proper Game Boy Color thing. This one was compatible with the Game Boy original as well, and hey, I've got a water energy as well, that's pretty cool. But yeah, this was compatible with the original Game Boy, so it was also grayscale, like color scheme as well. So I guess that means they couldn't really be that great and stuff, and that's freaking mouse clicking out of everything for no reason. Whatever. I guess they couldn't be as advanced in the color scheme as they would have liked, I think, because they had to work within the limits of the system that they were working on. And well, that does sort of show, and I get 2 bills from a bill. That's like billception or something, seriously. I mean, come on, getting 2 bills out of that. I have so many energy removals, she is not gonna get to play a freaking card here. This is fantastic. What does she have anyway? She's got Vulpix as well. Both of those guys take 2 energy. Guess who's not getting to play anything this game? Oh jeez, this deck is just nasty. So if you get a Psychic Energy, as we've seen already, I think you can use Headache to stop them playing trainers, or you can do Fury Swipes, and Fury Swipes can be pretty powerful. It is a water type as well, so I'm going to do 40 damage here, which definitely helps to wear down Growlithe much quicker. Growlithe is a bit of an ass otherwise, and hey, this is exactly what I was talking about in the last part. Moltres is Firegiver. She tends to get quite lucky with this as well. She tends to get 3 to 4 most of the time, but now she is literally getting energy out of her deck, so she is going to be able to attach for quite a few turns now, and that Moltres has 100 HP, so it's gonna take quite a freaking battering. And that is not cool, so we're gonna get rid of its energy because I do not want that thing charging up. It can do 70 damage on a coin flip of heads, and that is enough to one-shot anything except Hypno in... well... anything except Hypno and Dragonair in my deck. But it's enough to KO literally everything I have at the moment, so I can't let it set up. And I'm not intending on letting it set up. I am going to take a prize card this turn because I've done another 40 damage, and that is pretty awesome. And we get ourselves Lapras, which is okay, I guess. Oh yeah, it can't one-shot Lapras either. Okay, so it can't one-shot a lot of stuff in the deck, but still, it's not the point. I do not want it setting up, and I've just drawn my way into exactly what I wanted. Okay, Lapras is not going to be that useful, so we're going to discard that, and I'm going to discard the Super Energy Retrieval, because I don't really need it anymore, because I pretty much won this game right out. Because it's going to take a while, but now I have Golduck, and Golduck's attack for free energy does 20 damage and discards an energy, as we saw before. So basically I have an energy removal every single turn with my attack. If she attaches to something on the bench, then I'll use energy removal, the trainer card, and she will not be able to do anything. She takes free fire energy to charge up. So really, all I need to do now is hit Hyper Beam every single turn, and I've won. That's the whole point of this deck. It basically is just to discard every single energy card that she could play. Every Grandmaster except Rod, I think, also plays the other version, the fossil version of their legendary Pokémon. For some reason, I've never worked out why, but they do. And no need to attach that. If you do put a Psychic Energy on Golduck, it can do 10 damage plus a paralysis chance. But really, the main idea of Golduck is to Hyper Beam the crap out of everything. It's a bit slow, and it's not as good as Dragonair, because Dragonair's got more HP and no weakness. And it also has a resistance too. And here, she's kind of just crippled my entire hand, because basically we have to show each other all the cards in our hand. Most of her cards are energy, but they're all going to get Hyper Beam, so whatever. And basically we have to get rid of all of our trainer cards. They go back into the deck. So that basically killed the majority of my hand there. But it really doesn't matter, because I don't need anything that I have, to be honest. And the fact that I've just drawn Trader means I could look for Clefairy, which I do get. Just in case she does pull something, I'm going to get Clefable set up on the bench. Clefable's Metronome copies one of the opponent's attacks for 1 energy of any type. It's probably the most splashable evolution card in the entire game. The problem is it doesn't do very good against basics, and unless you're running a fire deck, you can't use flamethrowers and stuff like that, or basically you can't use attacks that discard energy unless you have the right energy on it. This includes Charizard's Fire Spin, because the energy burn power only works on Charizard and not you. So yeah, basically it's why is it clicking out? I'm not clicking out anywhere. This is silly. But yeah, basically Clefable is an extremely potent card against heavy hitter decks that don't require discards. Stuff like Blastoise, and yeah. The problem with fighting against Blastoise, however, is that you can get not donked, but you can get one-shotted by a plus-powered Hydro Pump. Because if the opponent has 5 energy on them, yeah, it does a lot of damage. I guess against that sort of attack as well, it's a bit restricted. Really, to get the most out of it, you'd have to either be playing a water or a fire deck, and hope that you're playing against the right type of opponent, pretty much. It's a bit difficult, but it still works. Now, because this thing takes 4 energy to attack, what I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to play the switch and go to Clefable so I can try and show this off proper. I don't really need Hypno in this game, so I'm just going to get a whole new hand here. I have another one in my deck anyway, just in case. And it's typical I draw Drowsy at that point. But yeah, we'll get Dratini set up. If I can get a Trader and get Dragonair going, that would be kind of cool as well. But, did I attach an energy this turn? No, I didn't. Okay, so I guess I can put one on Dratini as well then. And what we're going to do is we're going to Metronome and take away Dive Bomb. If I get heads, this works, and I do get heads, so it's going to do 80 damage, which is enough to one-shot Moltres. That's pretty much why I went for that, because it's a quicker kill, really. And Magma, well, Magma's not going to get to do very much. If it does get to attack, which it won't, that's fine. But you see, if I could Flamethrower, then I would one-shot this Magma. The problem is I can't Flamethrower because I don't have the fire energy, as you will see here. Not enough fire energy. So I can't use Flamethrower, which means I have to two-shot it with Fire Punch instead. Not that that's a bad option, it's just restricted. If I had fire energy in this deck, Clefable could one-shot the Magma. So really, Clefable is pretty good against the opposition's opposition fire decks. If you want attack against other fire types, Clefable's a pretty good one. Her energy removal did nothing there. I really don't care about it at all. I'm gonna get Dragonair out here, because Dragonair is pretty cool, and I might as well, pretty much. Dratini already has enough energy to use Slam, so yeah. Minimize, by the way, reduces damage by 20. It's not worth it unless the opponent doesn't have a good attack for you to copy. Which is possibly true, it depends on the opposition. I mean, flamethrowers and stuff are cooler, but if that's the only attack the opponent's got that's any good, or maybe say in the case of Charizard, it isn't going to make a difference, because Charizard's going to murderize you regardless of what you do. But still, it's situationally useful. I think we'll just put it at that. And the opponent has no energy cards on them, so I guess that's that. Smog is not gonna... Why does it keep on going out? This is silly. I don't understand why my computer is saying, oh hey, by the way, you're clicking out the window, when I'm clearly not. Never mind, it's not important, because we just poisoned the Magma with its own Smog attack. Clefable is badass. Seriously. This is probably the best ever copy of Clefable in the entire game. I don't know what other ones would be any good. I guess if somebody that's TCG oriented wants to enlighten me on what other Clefables might be half-assed, then go ahead and do so by all means, but it's not something I know of. And what am I looking for? I'm looking for Dragonite, because I want to be able to switch at any point. Dragonite doesn't exactly fit this deck as well as Dragonair, but Dragonite does let you use Step In so that you can retreat for less energy. Dragonite only has a 1 retreat cost, so yeah, and I keep forgetting she has no energy attached, which is kind of silly when you think about it, but yeah. Smog is going to be enough to finish this off. It's not that big a deal. And yeah, that's gonna be it. The opposition dies to poison, which is kind of sucky for them, I guess. Growlithe Flare is not really very good to copy though, so I think I'm gonna switch on out here, and I'm gonna do so using Step In, because I want to try and get the slam kill here if I can, which does actually happen. I've been very, very lucky with heads in this game. I think I've flipped every single coin as a heads, which is probably the only time that will ever happen in this entire LP. But there you go, it happened, and this deck was pretty brutal, I'm gonna say that now. Complete counter strategy for her, I realise, but nah, sometimes you're allowed to do that, because it's just there. She's not usually that threatening anyway, unless she gets an early game Moltres. If she gets a Moltres on turn 1 and starts charging it up turn 1, then you're in trouble. But usually she's not that bad. Steve, on the other hand, is definitely much worse, and obviously you get the chance to prepare, so you might as well do so. I'm going to very quickly disassemble this deck, I suppose. It was pretty cool, but now we have to use this one, which is just going to very quickly change in terms of taking out that and putting in the trader. Since you can't use the same card in multiple decks at once, I had to basically template this deck first, and I think that's pretty much it. Basically, this deck is the ultimate basics only sort of thing. This is probably one of the most powerful decks that you could build at the time. I'm not sure of the exact composition because I didn't play I've never played TCG competitively, really, but I definitely didn't play competitively during this timeline, and I'm not sure exactly how this deck would be made up, but this looks like a pretty powerful thing of it. You'd probably take out Super Potion, maybe have a couple more computer search, and wow, this is really being annoying now. I think what it is that if you could see, a Windows Update is trying to install the Service Pack 1 or something, because it's finally getting around to doing that. Whatever, it's not the point. You'd maybe have another Professor Oak and another computer search at least instead of the Super Potions. But beyond that, this is possibly one of the most powerful deck types you could build. And its name is Haymaker, which is exactly what deck type it was called. It's actually fairly similar in a way to how a lot of decks run nowadays, with the whole thing of Reshiram, Zekrom, and stuff like that. And now with Noble Victors, the Pokemon X coming out, stuff like Mewtwo X that are humongous HP basics, and pretty much decks nowadays use this similar sort of idea, where you use the really powerful basics. You have to use energy acceleration with them nowadays. You didn't at this one. But yeah, it's a similar idea to what happened then. And I'm also going to put down the save state here if it would let me, which it has. I could just see the tiny rote state 1 in red, on red in the bottom left corner. But yeah, I'm just going to do that to save time. I've already saved the game, and that's what you do in the middle of every one anyway. But just in case he does beat me, which is not impossible, Steve is really nasty. Probably the hardest of them, or it's the one I find is the most difficult. Jack is really annoying, but Steve tends to be... Wow, I really got no basics in my starting hand when I have 15 in the deck. Are you serious? Wow. But yeah, that's besides the point. I tend to find Steve the hardest. Probably because lightning types are entirely weak to fighting, except for the fact that he plays 4 Zapdos, which are really high HP and are resistant to fighting. So if you play a pure fighting deck, you are going to really struggle with that. And then there's also the fact of his main hitter, probably the most dangerous lightning type there is in this game, happens to ignore weakness and resistance. So really... Wow, Electabuzz Mirror right from the start? Seriously? But yeah, resistance does not do very good against his Zapdos, and that is probably the biggest problem with playing this man over here. So the idea I've got here is just to sort of rush him, really. I want to try and get Wigglytuff set up. I have 4 plus power in this deck as well, so there's that, I guess. It's a take on one of my best decks from the second game, actually, but it's not quite the same because there's a lot of speed cards which don't exist in this version. And hey, I got paralysis and he didn't. That's pretty funny, I guess. Not really haha funny, just yeah. But he plays Jolteon, he plays Electrode, he plays Electabuzz, and he plays Zapdos. I think that's his entire roster. I think he might play Magneton as well, I can't remember. It's not really that important. In fact, what does he have at the moment? Just 2 EVs. Right, okay. I'm gonna go with a Thunder Punch, because Thunder Punch can 2-hit KO from here, even if I flipped both tails. Which I haven't, so I guess that's kind of alright. And he's just charging up Zapdos, that's, yeah, because he doesn't have the option to kill me now, and thankfully he's not getting heads here. He tends to get a lot more heads than I would like, and that, yeah, does suck. Also, watch it when you're using Electabuzz with plus powers, it will hurt itself more if you flip tails, so do be careful. I am gonna have to Thunder Punch here though, because I do sort of need to get the damage off. If I could have used the plus power with Thunder Shock, and that would have been alright, but not as good. So yeah. Really, the ideal start for me in this deck wouldn't have been Electabuzz, it would have been Jigglypuff, to be honest, because Jigglypuff's call for friends would help out a lot. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use a single plus power, and I'm going to hope to get heads here. If I do get tails, it's not the end of the world, because I'll just Thundershock it next turn. Assuming that... yeah, that's going to happen now. Actually, this might be more annoying than I would like, because if he does get another energy on it... but that would require him to be intelligent, and I don't think he's going to do that. No, he's not. If he was intelligent, what he would have tried to do is he would have tried to use Quick Attack, gone for the heads, and if he'd have gotten the heads, he would have killed me. And I don't have another Pokemon out right now, so that would have been fatal. But he's not intelligent enough to do that, so oh well. Basically, the reason I used the thing last turn though is if I'd have flipped heads, I'd have done 50 damage and it would have one-hit killed him, but it doesn't matter that much because I can just Thundershot this turn, and obviously Super Potion, like the last time I used Electabuzz, has pretty much fully healed it, so it's not that big a deal. It really isn't that bad. Now I've got a Hitmonchan, so I can do a lot more damage here. This is good. Because Hitmonchan is a very potent card, I'm not gonna lie. He's not getting very lucky with his coin tosses. Of course, again, another one here, and of course I don't have an energy to use it with. That's kind of lame. What am I gonna do with this? Discard one switch and the Gust of Wind, I think. We're gonna get ourselves a Jigglypuff, because I really do want to start setting up Wigglytuff here. I want to use Professor Oak next turn. So my idea is basically to get as many cards down as I can, just use up my hand. Again, go with a plus power here, double Colorless on the Jigglypuff, because that gets most of Wigglytuff's power going, and I can Thunder Punch for the hopeful KO. Yes, okay, I'm getting way more heads today than I've been in most of the LP so far. That's pretty incredible actually. We get Cypher. Cypher would have been the second most ideal start for this deck, because Cypher has 0 retreat, so you can get out to anything else you want. And hey, another Hitmonchan, that fills up my bench, so that's good. Let's get Wigglytuff out and switch to it. The idea is now I've got Professor Oak, I should draw an energy within the 7 cards. I'd be kind of hopeful to draw an energy within 7 cards, and even if I didn't, I got a bill, so that's fine. But I did draw energy, which means I can go ahead and attach. Lightning Energy is the less useful one just now because my bench is full of Hitmonchan, and Do the Wave will do 60 damage, which is pretty much the power of Wigglytuff right here. This is the most powerful freaking thing in this game, I think. 60 damage for any free energy. I mean, it requires a full bench, so it's not the most reliable of things, but still, 60 damage is ridiculous. So this is the basis of Haymaker, which I think, as I said, is pretty much one of the strongest deck types that you could have used. And here is the Legendary Zapdos, which is not a pleasing sight. Basically, when this thing comes into play, it does 30 damage to a random Pokemon. It can hit himself as well. It doesn't hit the Zapdos that uses it, but this time it's hit my Cypher, which is okay. The other advantage of Haymaker in this matchup is that basically, unless that Zapdos gets fully charged, you're able to survive pretty well anything, because yeah, it doesn't do an awful lot to me here. Basically, everything has got 70 HP. That Zapdos' attack does do 70 damage, so it would one-shot pretty much everything except full health Wigglytuff. But it's still, you've got to get free lightning energy on it, and that's not easy against Haymaker. With the speed of the deck, it is not easy to do that much against it. As you can see, plus powers net a whole ton of kills in this game, because 70 is pretty much the magic number. So with this thing having 60 damage as its base, a lot of basics that don't evolve have 70 HP. So using plus powers means you can get that 70 damage off every turn you have a plus power, and it's great. I do use one item finder in this deck though, because I do want the chance of being able to get stuff. Wow, he just flips no heads in this game. That's really bad, actually. I almost feel bad for him, because he's just had no luck whatsoever this game. And yeah, if he'd have flipped a single heads in amongst most of that, he could have done a lot better. Unfortunately, that is the way the game goes, and you've seen I've had the short end of the stick an awful lot myself, so I almost feel sorry for him, but I don't really. Especially because it's Steve, and man, Steve is Steve, and he is pretty much the ruler of all Stevedom, so yeah. So that is 2 battles done. Next time I'm gonna have another couple of deck ties built up, and we are going to play through the rest of these, I guess. So this has been GamerCow playing the Pokemon trading card game. Join us next time where the gentlemanly Jack will be our opponent. He's got white hair and white socks and a white mustache. How do you get a white It's a silly question, how do you get a white mustache anyway, because yeah, hell, hair decoloring works on that as well, but still, it's kind of weird, man. You should probably get that seen to somehow. Yes.